My name is Riley Murray.
I'm Omar Pinheiro.
I'm Guy Fox.
I'm Andre Schoolmeiser.
My name is Michael Palma.
Equality is defined as the state of being equal in status, rights, and opportunities. Since America was founded with the 13 colonies, women have been ridiculed and oppressed for being seen as less than men. To what extent has women's equality in America changed in the 21st century? Since native times before the 13 colonies were founded, men have gone out to hunt and gather food, while women would stay behind in the tribes to care for the sick, children, and cook food. Nowadays, this is adapted into the men leaving for the day to go to a job to provide money for their families, while the women stay home to cook, clean, care for children, and take care of the house. Now, this is adapted to more women having jobs to provide for their family, while the men stay home to cook, clean, etc. However, there are still many setbacks that women face. Despite advancements, women in America still lack equality. The biggest key point for women lacking equality is social roles. Women are seen as caretakers of the house, while men are seen as providing for the family. Most women have less jobs than men do in America. Because of this, there's less representation in higher leadership roles, such as politics, to make decisions for the country or state. Most women who do have jobs are underpaid when compared to men. When you're comparing a woman's salary to a male salary, men make more than a woman. Immediate action needs to take place to change this.
So, women are currently facing a lack of visibility, as stated by Jamie Lawbrise, due to the fact that there are these societal and gender norms that have been set by society, and that's what they see as normal. And they're facing possible backlash for attempting to violate these social norms because it's how they have been seen throughout the past decades and centuries. This all is inhibiting their ability to create their own personal brand or personal identity because they don't see themselves as being able to speak out and truly represent themselves as how they want to be seen. As seen by this chart, well, women are, as said by Riley, are expected to complete chores and provide care inside of the home. So, as seen by this chart, the darker colors are when the females and the males stated that they're the only ones who do this, like these specific jobs, whereas the lighter colors are when they're saying that it's mostly them doing the work. As we can see, females have a higher percentage of doing things like meal preparation, grocery shopping, cooking, washing dishes, cleaning the house, laundry, which just goes to show that they are the ones doing most of the unnoticeable work, things that not everyone sees, whereas men are doing things like taking out the garbage, basic home maintenance, and things like general yard maintenance, which is something everybody around them sees, not just neighbors, but anyone in general passing by that's looking can see the men doing these things. And females are inside stuck doing house chores, which is why men are seen as the more hardworking individuals in society. So going back to housewives, women, as stated previously, are seen as caretakers of the home. And a study was done by Keeley Adams, which showed that housewife syndrome between the 1940s and 1970s was actually a term used to diagnose women who showed enigmatic attitude towards any job that they were given inside of the home. And it was mostly a way to psychologically manipulate them into thinking that they were born for this role and that's what they're supposed to do. And if they don't do it, they will face possible backlash. And this all ties back to their also why they don't have enough jobs. They have less time to encounter new opportunities because they're always and stuck inside of the home, expected to do what they are told, chores.
Adding on to what Andreas previously stated about women's psychological health, it has really restricted them from employment opportunities, and that's also led to less leadership opportunities, as you can tell by that quote. This graph shows a 10-year difference from 1990 to 2000 of women increasing their employment rates. While it is good, it could be better. Women in Congress are very discriminated against. As you can see in this 32-year graph, it shows an exponential increase of women in Congress. There's around 450 men in Congress, while there's only around 150 women. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And all four of these fields require innovative and creative thinking. The 8% of women in 1970 to 27% of women in 2019 is a great increase, but the increase shown could be way better if they were given more opportunities for leadership, pay, and management.
Women make less than men on average, and this has been like persistent throughout history. The Joint Economic Committee reports that women make 77 cents for every dollar a man makes. And this graph right here shows that that's just the average. On the low spectrum, a Hispanic or a Latin woman makes 54 cents for every dollar a white man makes. And this just shows how far we've gotten in equality and how things have not changed, because women are still not making as much money as men. Now on the next graphic, it shows that men make $52,000 while women make $41,000 on average in 2017, which is the 21st century. And this just reinforces my first point, where I show that women make 77 cents. Like, this is throughout a year. Women are making $10,000 less than a man. Now, that's by the American Association of Women. And on the next slide, I just like to go to show again that on a stimulated 40-year physician career, women make $6 million while men make $8 million, which just isn't right, because they're working the same job, doing the same thing, and they have the same task, but men still make $2 million more than a woman, which is reported by a professor at Rand Graduate University. And this just goes to show that the advancements in equality, at least through pay, have not been far at all, because these are all recent studies that have been done in the 21st century. All these studies have been done within the last 5 years.
So there are many ways that this country can go about solving women's inequality. The first would be to educate the workforce on gender discrimination. Ideally, this would be a government program. That way they could receive proper funding and credibility. They would be teaching to the worker level as well as the leadership level, and ideally it would be for fields like the STEM field, where women have less representation and pay than men. Our second solution would be to establish transparent salaries, and as you mentioned, women are often paid less than men, even though they're working the same jobs. If they had a transparent salary and they could see that their coworker was making more than them, then they could confront their employer and they would be able to hopefully resolve that issue. Our third solution would be to encourage skill-based assessments, and this could be used during the interview process and the promotion process. So hopefully employers will be giving their candidates more looks on their qualifications rather than just their gender. So this would prevent less qualified men getting those positions compared to the more qualified women. There are also limitations for each of these. An ignorant audience would almost completely counteract the positive effects of educating the workforce. And aversion to salary sharing, so if somebody wanted to keep their salary private, then it would prevent the company from creating true transparency. and unfair assessments or unfavorable assessments that favor generally male traits compared to women's traits rather than the traits that would best benefit the position that they are looking for would ultimately leave women behind. We as a country have to make sure that we're making those individual everyday decisions to make the women next to us are equal. I want to leave you with this quote by Peter Yarrow that says, "We Americans are world leaders and we must lead by example, particularly in times that require careful deliberation before any precipitous action." This is very important because America can be the world global standard for women's equality, but it starts with everyone today. And here are our work site. And the next stage. Thank you for your time.
Just go together. Don't come up. Just slide together. With 5 of you, it doesn't. You'll dominate the camera. All right. We'll start with Omar and work our way across. Omar, reflecting on the work of the other people in your group, which one had the biggest influence on you understanding the issue that you guys identified?
I would say Mikey had the best one because he was really going to jobs and paid through all of his research, and it really did show like all the discrimination that women are facing in the work field.
Okay, thank you. Riley, what's an example of an argument from one of their reports that you decided not to include in your presentation, and then why so?
Yes, so we had an argument of housing, that women there's unfair with women trying to obtain houses or loans. However, there was not enough evidence. This was Guy's argument.
All right, thank you. Guy, what's an example, what is a way in which your team's solution makes you think differently about the research that you conducted?
So I conducted research on housing, as you mentioned, and I think the transparent salaries would be the best for that because if women could see that they were the ones making less for the same jobs, then that would obviously help them with loans if they were able to increase their overall salary.
Thank you. Michael, if you had a 6th member of this team, what perspective could they have that would add to what you guys have done?
Athletics, because there's a lot of discrimination in the athletics field that we didn't go over.
All right, thank you. And save the best for last. Was there anything that they argued that was different than what your team solution was, and then how'd that play out?
Our team solution, as in our solutions and limitations, not really. Everything that they argued, including me, was pretty cohesive, and everything tied back into each other, and everything tied back to those solutions.